Hey everyone, my name is Tadas and I'm delighted to meet you all here. I'm a professional poker player and a coach for the last decade. I've been playing a lot and helping many players to improve. However, it's not about me. Today, I'm extremely happy and excited to launch a new video series with Courtney. If you want to learn poker strategy, if you want to improve your game and have some fun, you are in the right place. So stay tuned for the video and you will have a chance to get a big gift from us. So finally, we're here with the first video of Hand of the Week series with Courtney. She shared an interesting hand from a tournament in PokerStars and we can just jump to see what it brings us. We have pocket nines here and the first player raises, another one calls, so we already have some action before making a decision where Courtney decides to call as well. I do think this is perfectly fine and probably by far the best decision you could make in this spot. You really should not be looking to shove for 40 big blinds, because this is probably out of the question with such hand. And raising is not so good as well, even though some players like to squeeze, but by doing this you're isolating yourself versus very strong ranges from early positions, and if they shove, well, you're in a pretty bad spot and an ugly one. Therefore, calling is by far a better play here and we want to proceed in this way. We call, however, small blind squeezes and the action gets falls around to us where Courtney makes the call. Now we can talk about these decisions and break down these ranges a little bit. Well, firstly, I do think small blind is going to be pretty strong here based on all general population tendencies. He's not going to squeeze many medium hands because he has very good odds to call here from the small blind and see a flop multi-way where all his suited connectors and even some broadways plays in a good way. Obviously, if he has strong broadways, he's going to squeeze that some of the time, but he's going to squeeze all his valor hands, obviously, since he's not looking to play multi-way post with these strong pocket pairs, ace kings, ace queens, maybe in king queen type hands. Well, as we said, strong broadways, strong pocket pairs, and a pretty questionable amount of bluffs in this specific spot. Moreover, his sizing doesn't indicate much, but I do think that generally his range is strong. And when we consider this, we are in a pretty tough spot. Generally, quite contrary to what you could be thinking and wanted to do here, I think folding is probably fine. Here you're calling like more than 1/4 of your stack just to see the flop, and you really need to think about what you're going to do further. I know that folding is not intuitive here, however, it is probably going to be better play if you have no information on your opponent. Obviously, if your opponent is very aggressive, you have played before, you know something about him, you could easily shove this hand. And I do think this is the second best option if you have some info on your opponent. Obviously, if you know a lot about him, have a lot of names, you could be considering calling as well, but I do think it's going to be very hard to play your hand in this way. Just think about how many runouts you're going to see which you like with pocket nines. Is he going to give up enough? Are you going to be able to bluff catch him if he bets? Because like you're already going to have almost pot size bet. You're going to have a little bit more than pot on the flop. So how are you going to proceed? You're just going to end up overfolding in these scenarios. Even if he doesn't have that made hand yet, it's going to be extremely hard for you to realize your equity. Therefore, without knowing anything on your opponent, I do think this is a fold and you can easily find much better spots to get your money in. However, Courtney decides to call here. Maybe she has some info on the opponent. I'm not sure about that. So we can see what the flop brings us. The flop is queen 4, queen, and our hero checks. And this at once is a little bit suspicious to me. Just think about this. This is a flop where he should be bluffing a ton. It's very good. You're very unlikely to hit this board. You're not going to have many queen X in your range. He does have all the strong hands as well, and he's going to be checking those most of the time because he wants to get some extra value because you're likely to fold if he bets. Maybe I said all this very quickly. However, you really need to be aware that people tend to be bluffing on these spots almost always when they miss. So when they check, I'm very cautious in these scenarios and definitely not even consider betting here. I do think you would not achieve anything at all, and probably you're not going to be doing very good against his range in this spot. So Courtney decides to check. I like that. And now our opener bets on the turn. So even though he bets very small, as we said before, all population is not going to be bluffing with this line while checking on extremely dry board and then betting small on the turn, sorry. This is extremely strong line, which I'm pretty sure you know already. When you call these small bets in these pair boards, how many times you was right? It's not going to happen often. Obviously, you do not need to be right so often to justify the call for such small sizing, but the most important question is how you're going to proceed on the river. On which rivers you are going to call. How you going to play further, because when he bets right now, he's just building the pot for the shove on the river, and he's going to proceed doing that almost in all cases. So I do think that for those all reasons, that should be a fold pre-flop. You see, you've got a very good flop for your hand. It's definitely one of the better ones you can expect, and still you have to fold. So letting it go pre-flop would be a little bit better, but as played, I think letting it go on the turn and saving that money is going to be the best as well. Well, Courtney decides to call. I'm not sure, maybe she has some dynamics with the player, she knows how he plays or more info. However, as a standard, if you do not have that additional information available, playing in a cautious way is going to be by far best option. Here when you open and shoves, as I said before, I really think your only way is to fold. You're not beating absolutely anything apart his air hands, but what kind of air hands he could have? Well, I would say the only air hands that make sense here right now is probably ace jack and maybe ace 10 of spades that he would squeeze and then barrel off. However, I do think that a lot of the time he's going to c-bet those hands, and if that is the case, at least half of the times when he plays it, he's just like with, let's say, one combo here on the river which he bluffs, and a ton of hands that he bets for value. Therefore, letting this go is clearly the best option, and I think it's pretty easy decision on the river. Yeah, Courtney made this fold, I like that. This is obviously a tough hand for many different reasons, and if you have no information of your opponent, overplaying these hands could lead to big problems in the long run. Therefore, play cautiously, think about your opponent range, how much he's likely to bluff, how much he's likely to squeeze pre-flop with weak holdings, and so on. If you will be able to break this down, you definitely will be able to make good decisions a lot of the time, and we are here to help you. As promised at the beginning, I'm here to offer you a big bonus. If you want to see more interesting strategy videos, analysis of different hands and spots, poker tips, and much more, just visit my channel and subscribe to it not to miss any new stuff. Moreover, 5 lucky winners will be getting my course about breaking down and analyzing the game completely for free, so you will have a chance to find and fix all your mistakes. So join me, visit my channel, subscribe to it, and talk to you soon, guys.